Still lingering over the capital region, forcing many indoors. How you can limit the smoke's impact inside your home.
And the legislative session coming to an end. We'll have news about a controversial bill that's still up in the air. Our Capitol correspondent breaks down the Clean Slate Act. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here at 5:30. I'm Trishna Began.
And I'm Casey Kantz. The haze outside continuing to blanket the capital region as it moves through New York State and the rest of the East Coast. Conditions
are letting up, but much of the state still under an air quality alert right now. Take a look at this map from the EPA's air quality map. Most of the capital region here leaving that red zone that we were in the last half hour, moving into the yellow zone, meaning that the air is improving here.
But let's zoom out and just show you how big this smog is. It's drifted over much of the East Coast, reaching even as far as South Carolina and even pushing into the Midwest. Now, the governor, along with health officials, have urged everyone to stay indoors until this air quality alert lets up and that haze clears out.
But until then, there are several things that you can do to keep the air indoors clean. News 10 ABC's Zion Decoteau shows us.
We've all seen the images. Cities clouded in a sepia filter like something out of a Hollywood movie. We've all been advised to stay inside, away from the unhealthy air. But what can we do to keep the air quality in our homes or businesses safe? Just to put things into perspective, take a look at these two air filters that we pulled from our building here at News 10. On the right, completely clean, not yet installed. But on the left, dirty, covered in pollen and smog, all of the things that have been in our air lately over these past few days. That protection isn't enough. That's why many Capital Region residents are looking to upgrade their central air filtration systems.
Once you experience better indoor air quality, people are just amazed at how much better and healthier they're feeling for all ages, honestly. And there you have it.
These advanced H-VAC filters are installed directly into your central air system. Alan Ayers of Crisafulli Brothers Home Service shows us that on the right, you can see the compartment is filled with smoke. It goes through the filter in the middle, leaving the left chamber almost smoke-free. Ayers cautions that box or window fans may not be the best tool to fight the smoke.
I think just introducing more outside air into your home is it might cool it off, but it's going to maybe affect you.
He also says that window unit air conditioners will not block the dangerous particles the wildfires are producing. He recommends turning your units off as long as the temperature inside your home is comfortable. Reporting in Albany, Zion Decoteau, News 10 ABC.
All right, Zion, thank you for that. I want to show you this tonight, too. You might not be able to tell through all the thick smog. When you look at that right there, that's the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. Saw some of the worst air quality today. Hazardous levels there as this haze continues to move through the country as we send things over to News 10 ABC meteorologist Rob Lindenmuth tonight. And Rob, it just sounds like a broken record over these last few days. We're all still asking, when we're going to get a little bit of relief from this smoke.
Yeah, the good news, Casey, is things are starting to improve already. You can see it, the improvement here from East Greenbush, looking towards downtown Albany right now. There's sun shining through the clouds right now. With that sunshine, we're actually starting to see things mix up a little bit. So you start to get a little bit of a breeze, and things can kind of mix out of the atmosphere. Yes, it's still hazy looking off in the distance. Not saying that that smoke is totally gone right now, but definitely a much, much better picture than what we were dealing with this time yesterday. Air quality alerts do still remain in effect, though, until midnight tonight, as that smoke is still not too far away, but again, the thickest well off to our south and west. So we will continue to see those improvements here. Air quality has actually dropped. We were around 150 about an hour ago. We are below 100 AQI here in Albany, so that is good news. Those of you off to the north and west, that's what's going to be dropping southward overnight tonight. So unhealthy today, and the good news is as we go through Friday, well, guess what? The AQI goes down to that moderate level, and we'll have much more on what to expect with the smoke here in the capital region, as well as the upcoming weekend forecast in just a little bit. Trishna?
All right, thanks so much, Rob. The source of that smog moving through New York, of course, those massive wildfires burning out in Canada. Officials say that they are now battling more than 400 individual fires, 100 of which are still considered out of control. So far, those flames have burned more than 9.4 million acres, making this Canada's worst wildfire season to date. Governor Hochul says that New Yorkers are stepping in to help.
So we're sending our first firefighters. We're joining a member of individuals from New Hampshire and Maine as well. They'll be departing from the Saratoga Fire Department on Friday and traveling to Quebec. They've asked for 7 people over the next 2 weeks. We can certainly change those numbers at their request.
And it's not just New York. The federal government also preparing resources to help stop the smog at its source. News 10 ABC's Skylar Eagle has that part of the story.
Senator Kirsten Gillibrand says the federal government is stepping in to help Canadians fight the wildfires surging in Quebec. She says the federal government has already provided personnel and resources to help, but she's urging them to take more action, calling on the U.S. Forest Service to stand by for any support.
I'm urging the U.S. Forest Service to proactively work with the Canadian Forest Service on fire suppression and mitigation tactics to keep Americans safe and healthy.
The haze causing the worst air quality the Northeast has seen in decades, entering unhealthy and very unhealthy levels at times in the capital region, the increased exposure to smoke and other particles posing severe health risks for some. She's urging New Yorkers to wear masks and limit exposure outside as the state and majority of the Northeast continue to see hazy conditions from the wildfire smoke.
If you can, stay indoors. You should also keep doors and windows closed and use fans and air conditioning to stay cool. And you should consider setting up portable air cleaner or filter to keep your air clean.
As the state waits out the smoke, Gillibrand says this is another example of climate change and the attention needed to mitigate more extreme weather.
As the impacts of climate change make wildfires and weather events like this one more common, it is incumbent upon all of us to protect one another and do what we can to mitigate the damage.
Reporting in Albany, Skylar Eagle, News 10, ABC.
Skylar, thank you for that. For the latest developments on the air quality issues in New York State, of course, we'll stay on top of it for you. You can stay with us both here on air and online at news10.com.
The main suspect in the disappearance of Natalie Holloway being handed over to U.S. officials today. You might recall that in 2005, Holloway went missing during her study abroad trip. She was last seen with the suspect, Johan Vandersloot. He was extradited from Peru today, where he's been serving 28 years for the murder of a Peruvian woman. He's accused of allegedly demanding money from the Holloway family in exchange for telling them where their daughter's body is located. He's being charged with extortion and wire fraud.
2 of the 5 Connecticut police officers involved in the Randy Cox case have been fired. The vote coming from the New Haven Police Commission. You'll recall it was last June. Randy Cox was paralyzed after he was injured in the back of a police van that did not have seat belts. Officers are accused of not helping him following his injuries. All 5 pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor charges of reckless endangerment and cruelty to a person. A former sheriff's deputy in Florida accused of standing idly by during the Parkland school massacre in 2018 is now on trial. 14 students and 3 staff members were killed in that mass shooting. Prosecutors blaming those deaths on Scott Peterson, who they say took cover when he was expected to take action.
Active shooter situation, you go toward the gunshots. They're trained to go toward those shots, to find that shooter, because every shot could be a death. The defendant will never leave that alcove.
And Peterson says he did not know where the shots were coming from, and that is why he did not act. He faces charges of child neglect, negligence, and perjury, and could be sent to prison for decades if convicted.
Well, at the Capitol, the New York legislative session will be extended by at least 1 day. The Assembly and the Senate expected to vote on the clean slate bill tomorrow. It
would seal certain conviction records after an incarcerated person is released. Our Capitol correspondent Jamie DeLine has more on this controversial bill.
For a crime victim, the slate is never wiped clean.
At the Capitol on Thursday, Republican lawmakers and others who are against clean slate legislation voiced their concerns.
People that are hiring workers have a right to know who they're hiring and their background. People that rent apartments or houses have a right to know who they're putting in their house. This law is completely irresponsible.
He says people can already apply for sealing orders in New York State and that this would be an unnecessary law. While the Republicans say they aren't against giving people second chances, they don't believe this is the right course of action. Democrats and advocates, however, feel differently.
Knowing that millions of people for generations have been oppressed, okay, and prevented from accessing employment, housing, which is security that families need, right? the little things that we need to get by in life have been stripped away from us. So when someone is convicted of a crime and they do their sentence in time for this crime that they committed, once they have served their time, that should be it.
At a press conference on Wednesday, Governor Hochul said she'd like to have a version of Clean Slate that truly gives people a second chance.
I think that's going to help with recidivism. I think it's important for employers who are experiencing severe shortage of workers, but we also have to be smart about it and find out, are there opportunities to find out if, is there a record in another state, for example, and is someone else, been convicted of a crime related to sexual assault or something dealing with children. So there's areas we wanted to fine tune.
If the bill is passed on Friday, it would go into effect a year after it's signed. Reporting in Albany, I'm Jamie DeLine.
Coming up, a Saratoga woman turning tragedy into art.
When we come back, News 10's Harrison Giroux introduces us to this talented artist and shows us how she's using her craft to overcome adversity.
And thousands traveling to see an exciting sight. We'll have a look at the massive lava fountains erupting in Hawaii today.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader, with Trishna Begum, Casey Kantz, and Chief Meteorologist Steve Caparizzo. You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
Well, welcome back. The smoke continues to clear the capital region this late afternoon, now into this early evening. And we're also seeing a couple of showers and some heftier downpours out there. It's dry for now up at Glens Falls. I'll show you the radar here coming up in just a moment. We're also starting to see some sun breaking through some of those clouds this evening. Now, I want to tell you something. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, hey, we've got the Woofstock Walkathon and Festival going on Sunday. The dog walk, it's at 10:30 in the morning. You need to show up between 9 to 10 a.m. You got to pre-register online, though, at their website. The festival starts at noon. They'll have live music, food, about 30 vendors, and a kids' play area as well. It's going to be at Mohawk Commons in Schenectady. And you can get the tickets in advance online, and you can actually get a 50% discount by using the code STEVE50. It's going to be a fun time. I've heard so much about this event, and hopefully you can get out there and enjoy it. The good news is the weather looks to cooperate for Sunday. Temperatures will be warming up, and we should be dry. Right now, it's cool out there, so we'll be definitely a lot warmer than this on Sunday. 63 in Albany, 61 in Glens Falls right now, 67 in New York City, 64 Rochester to Syracuse, Boston at 62, 67 in New Haven, and Keene at 62 degrees this evening. Now, I do want to zoom things out a little bit and talk a little bit about the showers that we're dealing with, mainly off to the north. Some steadier downpours, especially north of Saratoga Springs right now, mainly in the Adirondacks and north of Glens Falls. Some of them are a little heftier. One storm in particular, moving through Greene County, now moving its way into Columbia County. This one has had a history of producing some small hail, so you definitely want to take it seriously, but it's not severe, just putting down a pretty good downpour, maybe some brief gusty winds. This upper level low, it's not moving anywhere for the next 24 to 36 hours, and this is what's going to provide us that wash, rinse, and repeat cycle through the day on Friday and to some extent early Saturday. Smoke from the wildfires, again, mainly to the south and west of Albany, and the air quality, it has been improving. We're now down below 100 here in the immediate capital region. Watch what happens. Of course, by this evening, I think this is a little optimistic on just how low those numbers are going to go, but it just goes to show the trend that as we go through tonight and into the day tomorrow, that air quality will be looking pretty good by tomorrow evening. Futurecast does show any showers this evening do come to an end as we go into Friday morning. Friday afternoon, very much like today, some breaks of sunshine, heating of the day. We'll see those showers and some thunderstorms popping up. Could be some hail once again. High temperatures for your Friday across the capital region, mid to upper 60s, very comparable to what we had out there today. Adirondacks, though, 50s and low 60s, 58 at Lake Pleasant, 66 in Glens Falls, and 64 in Amsterdam. So for tonight, down to 51, showers early. Watch for late day thunder, perhaps some hail tomorrow, 67. Saturday, mostly cloudy, isolated shower or thunderstorm, 74. Sunday, we dry things out, 81. 83 on Monday with late day rain. 77 with a few showers on Wednesday. Mid-70s Wednesday with a shower or storm. Upper 70s on Thursday. Back to the low 80s as we approach next weekend. A few showers on Saturday and back near normal, near 80 by next Sunday. Casey?
Thanks. Drying out just in time for Wolfstock. Good to see there. Thousands of people flocking to Hawaii's Big Island as one of the world's most active volcanoes erupts. Fountain bursts of lava shooting about 50 feet high. This eruption is contained to Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park, and officials say populated areas are not threatened. Many are very excited to see this spectacle, though.
It's been incredible. I'm glad that we got to see it in person. We weren't expecting that we'd be able to do so, and here we are.
Yeah, just like here in the Northeast, air quality is a concern there during the eruption. Officials say they are monitoring volcanic gas levels, but as of right now, they are low.
Well, a Saratoga woman is using her photography skills to overcome adversity. Anne Marie Todd has been in 4 car crashes and each time suffered a traumatic brain injury.
News 10 ABC's Harrison Giroux caught up with the woman behind the camera to see how she's gotten used to what she calls the new Anne Marie. Take a look.
My camera has been my third kidney basically since high school, and it's been my way I've documented through my life.
Anne Marie Todd had her camera at her hip through all 4 crashes. Much like her photos, her injuries are sadly everlasting.
I haven't recovered from the brain injuries. They're permanent. It's more of a matter of my being aware of them and knowing what the symptoms are and working around them, working with them.
Todd saying when she first got hurt, no one had any idea.
It wasn't even a medical label or a diagnosis at the time. It was much later that it was diagnosed. In 2002, it opened up an entirely brand new world for me. And so after a course of a bunch of years of getting acclimated into it, I started to photo document.
Her years of hard work paying off this morning. Karen Thomas, Director of Family Services for the Brain Injury Association of New York, presented Todd with the Silent Angel Award, saying her positive attitude is what makes her so special.
When you see Anne Marie Todd, it's rare that she's without a big smile and her camera. She's a talented angel and dedicated member of the association. But to anyone she meets, she becomes a cherished friend.
For Todd, even events like these can be a lot to handle, but she's found the perfect way to keep pushing forward.
I'm having to wear my earplugs when in crowds like this because the sound is like a freight train on a loop, and I'm overwhelmed by it. However, with my camera, when I have that focus, I'm in my element.
Reporting in Saratoga Springs, Harrison Giroux, News 10 ABC.
Harrison, thank you. You can see more of Anne-Marie's photos over on our website, news10.com.
Pet Connection is coming up next.
But first, here's a look at what we're working on for 6.
This time of the year, many students are enjoying field trips, but schools had to adjust some of their plans because of the air quality alert.
Recent poor air quality bringing back memories of other times New York suffered air quality disasters. How does this one compare? We'll let you know just ahead.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pet Connection today. This is Puppy Love Day. We have 2 beautiful little ones from our good friends at Free to Be Me Rescue. I'm not sure how much they're going to look at the camera. But this is Eenie. This is Miney. Eenie, Meenie, Miny, Mo were the names of the pups that were born. It was one of those, I'll tell you, this is pretty sad. There was a breeder, and there was a mistaken litter that was going to be born. They didn't want to keep these guys, so that's how they ended up in rescue. They probably weren't going to have a chance if they didn't go into rescue. Now, you can see they're pointer mixes. They were born in January. They're about 5 months old. They don't have to be adopted together, but I'll tell you, it would be great if they could be, because they just love one another. You guys are just not going to look at the camera at all. No way. You guys go over there and maybe clap your hands. You got to see their faces. Come here. Come here. There you go. We got to see one face. They're going to be probably 55 to 60 pounds, and because they're pointers, they got the nose. They're never going to stop sniffing, so leash walking, a fenced-in yard. If you have another dog that has a similar activity level, an active family is what we're going to need on this. Oh, you're wagging your tail. Miney's wagging her tail. If you're an active family, you want a puppy, they'd be great for you. Again, we can keep them together. We can adopt them separately. Bottom line is they're beautiful, great family pets. They chase cats because all they want to do is play. Otherwise, they're great with everybody. They've been around kids. Look at the tail going. If you're interested in Eenie or Miney, we want you to go on Free to Be Me Rescue's website, fill out an application. If you have any questions, 518-956-1804. 956-1804. And that's Pet Connection for today.
Starting now, this is your local news leader, News 10 ABC at 6.
Evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lydia Colbita.
And I'm Trishna Begin. Smoke from wildfires in Canada still covering much of the capital region sky with that haze.
I want to take a live look at the roads right now, where the air quality is improving a little bit compared to yesterday, but health experts still encouraging everyone to limit outdoor activity.